Good evening, I'm Sophie Redfern and I'm delighted to welcome you to the Claw Studio here at the Royal Opera House. In tonight's Insight, we'll go behind the scenes with the Royal Ballet as they rehearse their upcoming mixed programme, Wayne McGregor, Alchemies. As resident choreographer of the Royal Ballet, Wayne McGregor has created both single-act and full-length works that push the boundaries of dance. Wayne is an expert collaborator and draws on a wide range of influences from literature, the visual arts, and science and technology. Alchemies, which opens on the main stage on the 18th of April, includes the world premiere, I should say, of a new ballet. It also sees the return of others. Eugen, a poetic response to Leonard Bernstein's Chichester Psalms, with set designs by Edmund Duval, and Untitled 2023, his powerful collaboration with the late minimalist artist Carmen Herrera, set to the music of Anna Thorfalsdottir. This evening, we'll learn more about the collaborations at the heart of Alchemies. And first, let's welcome resident choreographer Wayne McGregor. Wayne, thank you so much for being with us this evening. Now, this has been an exciting year. We have a book, We Are Movement, that's come out. We've had an exhibition at Somerset House, Intimate Bodies, an outstanding contribution to Dance Award at the Olivier's, not to mention here at the Royal Opera House, the return of Wolf Works, and now this mixed programme with new works that opens later this week. Now, we're going to talk a little bit more about the programme shortly with Eugen Untitled 2023. But to start, why did you want to bring these works together?
Well, one of the great pleasures of being resident choreographer here is I have this great relationship with Kevin, who's our director of the Royal Ballet. And Kevin invited me to think about a programme, a triple bill programme that we discussed together. And one of the things for me that's really important about dance making is the curatorial process, first of all. What does a dance contain? And the things that a dance contains for me are obviously what is the music, what is the scenographic elements, what is the lighting design, and then probably the most curatorial and most important curatorial decision is what is the material, so the dancer's specificity, the individual uniqueness of a dancer that you can bring together in a community or a collection of dancers that are going to help you express this particular type of work. And so curation runs right from the early process, from deciding who's going to work on the ballets together, but also which dancers you want to work with for this particular ballet, for this thing that you want to design. And one of the lovely things that we get to do here is then invite lots of dancers to do very different kinds of roles perhaps that they've choreographed with me or have been in the process with me while I've been choreographing with them, or roles that actually they've never done before and they're getting their teeth into something new.
Fantastic. These three works that you're bringing together, there is a strong thread of abstraction about them. And you've talked elsewhere, I know, about you being drawn to abstraction in dance. So can you tell us what that means and how you understand abstraction as an idea in relation to dance when we're dealing with human bodies and movement and things like that?
Yeah, I mean, I think that dance, abstract dance is a really important part of the continuum of dance making. And I've noticed, certainly over the last decade or so, there's been a real pressure for dance makers to make properties that already exist. So think about big kind of like story ballets, existing titles that one might make into a dance. Or they're asked a lot about the aboutness of a piece. What is a piece about? What does it mean? And one of the beautiful things that the American postmodernists taught us about dance making is that the medium itself is the message, right? So that instead of, if one is looking at a fall on stage, instead of that fall being, why is she falling? It's about gravity exerting its forces in a particular way. That's actually very rich in terms of meaning. And so I've always been a very strong advocate for this idea of abstraction, for this idea that the materiality, the kind of the sensorial system, this incredible physical instrument that dancers have and possess, can obviously tell stories beautifully. They can do that, but also they have a whole range of other things that are able to do really, really well. Personally, I don't think dance does concreteness excellently. You know, I think dance is much more analogous with music. When we go to a concert, we don't immediately go, what does the music mean? We go, where does the music sit inside us and meaning emerges? Dance is not a play. You know, that kind of like textual linguistic thing is not the same. And I notice that a lot when I see, some dance critics writing while watching dance performances. And I find that very curious because if you think about it, what you're inviting in a dance performance is a sensorial interaction. You're asking for something which is kinesthetic and empathetic in terms of the body chemistry responding. If you're immediately analysing and sitting in a thought space, in a space which is up here cognitively, you can't be doing that. You can't be doing both of those things at the same time. So I think it denies them the opportunity to actually sense first and find meaning later. And so I think this program really invites the audience to sense first, not worry about what any of it means. I'm not saying it doesn't mean anything. I'm not saying it means nothing. I'm saying first let's invite you to see what are some of the particularities of a way in which a dancer performs, the particularities about what is the relationship between the music and dance, the particularities of how light might work as a choreographic kind of like entity, how sonography informs or compresses spaces. Think about kind of what do you see rather than what does it mean, and new meanings emerge. And for me, that's really exciting. So I'm a staunch kind of advocate for that. So that's what this program really is trying to do.
Yeah, and you're inviting the audience then to go with you with that and feel and focus on the feel and not kind of focus on those kind of narrative elements perhaps and things like that. And actually, how are you responding to it in the moment, that kind of thing.
But I think it's important because that's actually how we live our life. We're not in a state of knowing all the time.
Yeah.
You know, I'm certainly not. You know, we have such long periods in a day when we're just kind of in an equilibrium state. We don't really experience emotions, you know, every single second of the day. Emotions kind of come from your chemistry in waves or in particular moments or in responses. And I think it's one of the things that perhaps has got in the way of watching modern dance, particularly, or contemporary dance or contemporary ballet, when there is no literal story, where you don't have a scenography, where you don't have a kind of like a dramaturgical line, or you don't have like a character development. But actually people think sometimes that they're not getting it. But actually, it's about being in that state of receptivity, about going, well, what are these influences that are bearing down on my senses right now? And what are they allowing to release in me? And that might take time. It might happen in the theatre. It might happen on the way home. Or it might happen a very, very long time later. I know certainly some of my most powerful moments in the theatre that I've seen of dance makers that I love. These kind of like images kind of almost like retinal burn on my imagination or consciousness. And they come up or they arrive at the most unexpected times. And that is the beauty and the power of dancing. That actually, you know, of course you see it in the moment and its liveness and it's of its kind of impermeable self and it's just there and it's fleeting. But much later on, you know, you are able to revisit it. It sits in your kind of like consciousness. It sits in, you know, all parts of your body. And that's particularly relevant when you go back to see dances that you've seen in the past. You know, a lot of those kind of like signals are kind of like reactivated. And I just really love that. So dancing doesn't always have to be about story. Story is fantastic, but there are many ways, multiple meanings of a dance that we can look at in that continuum. But you have to be looking for it. You can't not look for those things. You can't say, well, it should be a story. It's not a story. Don't look for a story. Look for something else. Mm-hmm.
So we're inviting, I think it's openness then. You want people to come to this program with openness and inviting.
Well, when I look at Carmen Herrera is this amazing visual artist who did the design for Untitled. And I met her when she was 103 years old. Which was kind of incredible. She had her first show at the Whitney at age 89. Anyway, I went to meet her, and she, at that point, was working on, you know, she's deciding on her canvas what she's working on. She's working on a certain kind of like color palette. She's looking at a kind of a form, a very minimalist form or shape that invites you. You could say, oh, that's just a shape on a white, you know, on a white canvas. Or you can say that's an aperture into a world that unfolds. You know, and actually when you look at her paintings, you start to see depth and you start to see relationality and you start to see all of this detail, but it demands your attention. It demands that you give it a little bit of time to reveal its secrets. And I think that's very much the same as looking at abstract dance. It takes a little bit of time to reveal its secrets, but they are there.
We're going to get a glimpse of the rehearsal process, and actually you're going to let us into some of this in a moment. Can you just tell us a little bit to introduce what we're going to see, and then we'll get into the rehearsal itself?
Sure. So this is the new work that we've been working on. We're going to talk a lot about the music a bit later on, so I'm not going to give too much away about that. But one of the things that we've been working on with the dancers are these kind of like the phenomenology of dance, if you like. It's how is it that individual dancers can really shape and contribute to a kind of a choreographic score. And that choreographic score is the thing that motivates the musical score. So rather than having music first, or music as the prime way of responding, what we're looking at is sometimes that might happen, but how is it that, first of all, you can generate a kind of a choreographic score where you see rhythm in the choreography, phrasing in the choreography, texture in the choreography, and music in some way responds to it. So it's a very different kind of dialogue. So we've been building, a piece that's like that. And also, just to say that it's a piece which has some elements of dancer choice, dancer autonomy. So it's not improvised, as in they're not making up any old movement, but actually they're working within a field of possibilities. So if one of the reasons I've called it quantum souls is this notion of quantum, that actually there's a difference in classical kind of an idea of time that, let's think about a coin, on the table, it's either heads or tails. In a quantum world, it's a spinning coin, and heads and tails can happen at any possibility until it's struck. And that's really the area that we're working on. What are the possibilities? What's the field of possibility for the dance before the dancer decides what that moment of the strike is? And that's very analogous. You'll hear later when Bebe's playing that she has got some very, very structured phrases of music to play, but also a lot of leeway in terms of how she works inside a kind of a field of possibility. So yeah, that's what we've been working on. So we're going to see four dancers, a quartet that I've been making, a couple of duets.
Yeah, so that hopefully has whetted your appetite. It certainly has mine. So thank you, Wayne. I'm going to hand over to you now, but I want to welcome the dancers of the Royal Ballet. So we've got Harris Bell, Emil Gooding, Nadia Malova-Bali, and Ella Newton-Severini, and they are joined by Deputy Stage Manager Anna Lavender as well. Okay, hand it to you.
That's a very quiet entrance. It's like, not normal. Should we just go over the beginning of, pretty much almost the beginning of the ballet, right? It's within the first minute. One of the things that we've got in this ballet is that the back wall of the theatre we've taken out, and we've got way more meters at the back. So it's like this infinite space that goes on for very, very, very far. So it gives us an opportunity to kind of thrust out of this space in a really, really different way. I would just love you to notice when we're working, I'm going to not talk to you for a little bit and just work, but I'd love you to notice when you're working just what some of the dancers' kind of like physical decisions are in real time. And as we work, how they're changing that kind of nature of decision. What are they doing to change that nature of decision? You've got to make different decisions. Okay, right. It's the invitation. Okay, cool. So, okay, so Emil, why don't you just come from, so you just left in the little section before. Yeah, so you're just leaving the space. And let's just have a little look where we're going to go. Okay, great. Now you've got this massive rush of energy. Here we go. Ready? And okay, stop. I know it's I know you've not got very much room, but you really want to kind of like lean into the force of the space, right? Really push as if there's like a whole field of energy in front of you. You move more. Okay, even more than that. That's great. Lovely. And then just don't rhythmicize the end. Da, not r, da, hum. Yeah, really land dance into the next thing. Okay, here goes. Brilliant. Ready? And go. Hum. Way. Hum. Great. So, Emil, a bit lower. Wham. Invite them. That's a little response there, Nadia. Great. This one, what are you doing? Are you doing slow, quick, slow? Great, gorgeous. Just a little bit bigger on that, through your rib cage. Fantastic. Oh, Harris, just a little bit more rebound. Tang, day-dum. That's it. Okay, brilliant. So I love the rebound. A little bit more push in the tondu. Yeah, exactly. Xiang, da-da, gorgeous. Da-da-da. Can we just be clear about who's going when? Yeah, so what I'm seeing is I just see the kind of like the calligraphy of that. I just see it in a really, really clear way. So just tell me who's going. So Emil's there, right, perfect. Yeah, really clear. Yep, great. So don't overlap. So just make sure it's like one phrase rather than overlapping phrases. Can we just try that again? Brilliant, just there. Is it okay from here when you start, Emil? Here we go, ready? And xiong. Diarang dang day. Great. Lovely. Love that. Jiadam, dam, bam. Okay, great. Just tell me something about focus.
I feel like if someone definitely touches me in that moment.
You're going to look. Okay. Great. Look. Yeah, here we go. Let's say the same thing. Here we go again. Ready? And form. Way. Da-dam, dam. Good. Beautiful. Chiam. Ba-hey. Down. Hey. Way. Great. Lovely, Harris. A little bit further away. little bit further away. Down. Day. Fwam, better. Great, love that. Okay, great. Can you just delay just a second, Ella? So Harris kind of just slightly passes you and picks you up, yeah? So I can see you jump like that, like a little wave. Here we go, ready? Shung. Da-da-da, gorgeous. Yeah, oh, I love, yeah, okay. I love, you see, when you did that, you got way more distance. Love that. Yeah? Now it just has to really work then. Here we go. Just the same little thing. Here we go. Ready, and go. Whum. Da-da-da, gorgeous. Dam. Great, da, bay-da. Oh, yeah, Emil, even lighter. Jellyfish. Whum, ba-dum, bay. Chum, lovely. So you're going to go, That's the turn, yeah? You got this, Here we go. Yeah, we go. Lovely. Okay, great. That was great. The turn was great. You know, when you come out of the turn, just connect the thoughts that you're really chewy out of it at the end of it. So you've got to turn, exactly. Great, let's keep going. Bum, a little bit more here. Nudge a bit more here. Xiang, way. Gorgeous, really strong. Oh, yeah, I can think that could be like freer. Yeah, just like, it's kind of like rapping. You're just rapping. It's like a funny little note. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Bam, 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 bam. Off. More offness. Off. Yeah, that's it. Great, let's just do from rapping. Gorgeous. Here we go, ready? And jump. Down, way. Down. Whoa, great. Ella, even more, huh? Even more risk. Just go for it. On. Here you go. Ready on, do that. Rap, rap. Love that. He'll be there. Love that. Okay, great. Can we just delay a little fraction before you go down? That's great. So fantastic up. So what order of events is it? Is it head, arm, head? Arm, head. Arm, head. Harris is arm, head. Rather than arm, head down. Okay. Arm, head, suspend down. Let's just see. Ella, here we go. One more flying moment. Here goes. A little knot. Very good. And away. Arm, head. Okay, yeah, I love that. I love that. So just work out what you're going to do if he does that. Okay. If you're going to wait, you know, you're kind of in that state of suspension, yeah? So that's one of those quality, one of those phenomena that the body just has to work out what to do in this space, rather than you did like flying lizard for a second. I'm not convinced on that. Yeah? Beautiful jump in though, right? So, yeah, great. So just have a little play in that area. Here we go, ready? Boom. Do that, bam. Yeah, great. Love it, Harris. Ella, great. Yes, lovely. Gorgeous, well done. Okay, let's keep going. So what's going on here? Meanwhile, just soften your eyes, Nadia, there. Yeah, boom, boom, boom. Emil, you know that it just feels like it's a little bit too slow. It just feels like, because it's almost like, it's, you know, it's almost when your Netflix stops working. It's like, you know, you go, just keep it like really, really connected. Doing, wow, that's better. There we go, gorgeous. Nadia, what are you doing? You're going here, what are you doing? Wrap. Yeah, wrap around and then really out. More ribs. More ribs? Whoop, stop, whoop. How can you get the, ta.
So soft.
Just don't panic. Yeah, she's got all those long arms, so you can find some of it. There we go, stop, great. Nadia, that's great. So let's just stay there, I can touch for a second. So we're coming right out, more ribs. Yeah, and then now find work in this back space here. Okay, well, can you go back again? Yeah, a bit more, just take your time. Yes, gorgeous, hang on a second. Then this was all great, and then you let that go really easily. Don't. Just keep it like kind of like in an awkward place. Let Nadia do a bit of the work, and then she'll decide what she's going to change. Gorgeous, there we go. Wham, wake, da, day, lovely, love that. Great, let's keep going, okay? Brilliant. So Nadia goes to Harris, head. Harris, you know what, it's funny, isn't it, that so the head, so are you lifting up his head?
Kind of like diagonally.
Okay. So it stays attached, that's why you're moving. I think just really make sure that it has the feeling that we're going off in diagonals that way, the sense of the feeling of that. Bum boy, go, okay. Whoa. It's better though, it's like a bit higher. And the Harris, you go a little bit more suspension. There we go. Gorgeous, yeah, exactly. And then, so you went jam and change. Jam and change. Yeah, okay, great. Shut up. Jam and change, gorgeous. Keep going. Love that. Nice Ella down on the floor. Okay, great. Lovely. So that's the end of that kind of like little event. If we were thinking about in movement thoughts for the beginning of that, just come and talk to me about the movement thoughts. Like if movement is a thought and it's an arc, where does the arc kind of like finish and where does it restart? What are the bumps in this little thing? Just help me with that. We just have to decide they can be in a different place each time. So just tell me as we go. So the first one is Emil. That's kind of a thought, right? And then he's going, yep. And then we're accumulating into okay, great. So that thought was you arrive at something and you respond. Okay, gorgeous, love that. And then you signal to Ella. Okay, great, so so is this the end of the thought or the beginning of a new one?
I'd say the end.
Fine, so the end of a thought, and then Harris, you restart, right? Restart, then, bam, bay, bam, day, da, deek, day, new thought. Great, gorgeous. Really long, fantastic, love that. Yep, ta-da, this is a little new thought from you two. Around, out, keep going. Bay, down, great. Make it very rhythmic, so we see the visual rhythm of this. Gorgeous, lovely. Change, nice risk. Love that. Great, fantastic, really nice. Can I just see whatever your full stop is? Like, what is that? So, bam, great. Okay, drag it in more, like more drag in. Yeah, a little bit wider in the knees, like a crab. Great. Then, finish? Okay, great, okay. So, Harris, let's have a look at the beginning of this. So you're coming over there, that's all great. So just how do you get into it? So what is the point of initiation that gets you into this moment? Okay, so you're going straight away from elbows, so I'll see it right. Okay, great. So you're putting your attention in your elbows, and the elbows come, and I see the elbows right the way. Okay, great. And then make the second one a little bit tighter, more back. Jam. Bait out, back. Sing it a little bit more. Just sing that little thing to yourself. You don't have to sing out loud. Just sing the phrasing. Love that. Okay, stop. One, bay, ham, like a full stop. Bam, wham, bam, wham. Done. One, great. Great, so that's really free. Love that. Then, duck. Emil, can you just share whatever this is? Just share it with Harris.
Okay.
Yeah? So it's not so. Bum. Duck. Duck. Gorgeous. Okay, stop. Great, love that. So I like this. You know what? Are you going here and then arching? Yeah. More off. Yeah, that's it. way more off. Like immediately from when you go here, way more off, more extreme. Yeah? Harris has got you. There we go. Okay, love that. Yeah? Okay, love that. Okay, yeah. You got a bit low, but that was much better. Loved it. Cheer up. There we go. Yes. Okay, stop a second. Love that. Hang on a second. Whoa, great. Where's your leg finishing? At the end. Let's just decide. Yeah. In. Okay, so you're folding it in like in parallel, like in sixth. So like a parallel in. Yeah. Then let's keep going. Back. Okay, whoa, almost. Are you going that deep? That deep. Are you going out in on, or are you going out off? Wow, great. Just try and keep it quite tight on the leg on the way back. That's really nice. Here we go. Xiang, back, jack. Yes, one, back, yay. Oh, great, lovely. So he's going da. Over. Yeah, it's over. Yeah, really fast, like a drill. Bam, whack. Deek, dak, rak, deek. Gorgeous. Well, really nice. Harris, help me with this. So really great, both of you. Really fast turn, quality of touch, feel the touch move, rather than it be like furniture lifting. Yeah, he touches you, you feel it, boom, you play, you move. Just like, okay. Better, there we go, gorgeous. Okay, great, so I love that. I love the first part of that, and then you kind of, the thought drifted away. So holding him, you feel it, it's kind of much more, and then the second one, yeah, so it's like a massive journey like that, rather than just here and then nothing. Yeah, so keep it alive, Emil, just all that moment round. Down. Easy, gorgeous. Lovely. Oh, great. Di da yamba. Di da yamba. Much higher. Yes. Oh, what is that? Yeah. Easier. There we go. Love that. Whoa. Whoa. Gorgeous. Great. You have a little sec. I'll come back to you. Meanwhile, ladies, what are you up to? Love that. How long? You stay there for quite a while now. Sorry. That's not a choice you can make. It's like down there. Okay, great. So what's time after that? Jump up. You know that one? Ella, it should feel like a rebound. So when Adi pushes you, it should feel like vumbe, runda, whoopba. The force of that is like a spring. Here we go. Ready? Great. Lovely. Super. Nice focus. Oh, just a little bit tighter. A little bit tighter. Love. Yeah, and that plie is great. Ella, great. Wow, that's good. That's great now, isn't it? Yeah, I really liked. Yeah, you worked on that. Yeah, I love this dislocation first, and then Yeah, great. Then after that. Yeah, let's just see that. What is it? That's like. Feel it together. It's like a force. Yeah, great. Tongue. Then. Great. Perfect. You're gonna go. Where are we now? You're solo, right? Let's try. So you're gonna be quite free in the rhythm of that, right? So when baby, yeah. You tell us what the rhythm is that you want to see. Okay, a little bit longer. Even easier. Even like I'm going out for a jog. Yeah. Yeah, much. Okay, tight then. Tight. Tight. Great. Well, even more hips. Hip flexors. Yes. Bam. Okay, it's almost like here and then a massive PK. Get onto it. Okay. Yeah. So hips, then leg. Hips, then leg. Great. Second one. So you're gonna go bam, ba, or you're gonna go ba, ba. What are you gonna do? Not the same. All right. Okay. Cool. Yeah. You got it. Nice, Harris. Oh yeah, you know that, just the tension of this. I'm so not going to do that. It's like, yeah. That's it, perfect. Yeah, exactly. And almost that, from there, that just like drops into like the susu, really tight. Yes. Chiong. Ooh. Wow. Very nice. Good job. Meanwhile, what's going on? Is Emil, you starting now? Yeah. Great. Okay, nearly there. So you come round, right? Like the attitude, you see. I like the attitude. So I put you off. I like the confidence of the restart. Yeah, it was really good. You know, just a little bit tighter and then longer. So huam bei wa. You're like, it's like almost like there's a slight undercurve. Dear, gorgeous. Oh yeah. Longer. Yes. Love that. Ooh. Take a bit longer. Tang tay. Catch it at the end. Yeah, really, really long. So you're really hard technique, then super relaxed. Do your lock. Love that. Oh, you know that one? Oh, can I just touch you a second? Just go there. This way. Okay. Yeah, not on, but over. Yes. Yep. Or even, leave it easy in the shoulder. Easy in the shoulders. Gorgeous. Yeah, lovely. Yep. Love that. Okay. Chiang, ri da om. Just a little bit cleaner, the jump. So after the kind of the casualness of that, just a little bit tighter in the. Lovely. Easy on the shoulders. Easy, 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 easy. Stay there, stay there, stay there, stay there. Stay there, stay there, stay there, stay there. Stay there, stay there, stay there. Great, exactly. As long as you can, as long as you can. You can decide. Yeah, really nice. Beautiful. Boom. Duck. Day. Shum. Gorgeous. Good job. Okay, should we have a little go? Let's have a little go, right? Very nice. So, well done. Should we have a little go? Yeah. So this musically is, the beginning of this is written, so it's fully scored, and then it moves into an improvisation, as in a musical improvisation around very tight parameters, but we'll talk about that in a little second. We're just going to use the recording for now. Okay, Anna, okay? Yeah. Okay, let's have a little go at this. Okay, yeah, let's just, yeah, we go silent, it's fine. Emil, okay? Great. High expectations now. Don't let me down. Okay, here goes. Amazing, guys. Well done. Yeah, good job. Well done. Okay, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Well done. Thank you. So one of the things you're not getting now, which you'll get in a little minute, is Bebe. Bebe is she'll start with a musical structure, and then she watches the dance and uses that as a score to write on top of. So the musicality is really interesting, that it's actually driven by the kind of choreographic texture with some parameters that Bushra has given to Bebe, and she writes over the top of it. That was really good. And such a great risk, no? Yeah, a little fun. I know, keep it away. Come on, we're going to have a little chat. Well done. Thank you so much, guys. They're really nice. Thank you.
Thank you, all of you. What a treat to be let into that experience. I feel terrible asking you to speak now, but I'm going to. After all of this, we'll come to you last. I know you've been. So Harris, can we start with you? Could you just give us a little sense of what it is like? I mean, we've seen a little bit there. What's it meant for you working in the studio with Wayne? What's that process been like?
Be careful.
Especially this process has been one of the most interesting times in the studio with Wayne I've had personally, because we've had an extra allowance of play, and sort of exactly risk, as you've seen. And I think Wayne's been encouraging that more so in this process than even ever before in my experience. And that's been the most enjoyable part of this, I think, for me. And I know it's reciprocated across the group. So, thank you.
Ella, can I ask you, I'm going to pass you a microphone. What for you then has been a highlight of this and this process so far?
I mean, I think it goes without saying, working so closely with Wayne and the rest of the beautiful cast is definitely been a massive highlight. I also think this piece in particular has given us the autonomy of, like Harris said, the play. And I think that's something that we don't necessarily do quite so much here, the sort of structured improvisation. And I think for me, sort of stepping out my comfort zone and working towards achieving that has been really special. Thank you.
So you've been fearless, right? So you have to like face movement in different ways. Is it a different? I mean, how does it feel? Does it feel different to move like that? How is it different? Do you think?
I mean, I think it's that being really present all the time and making those in the moment decisions and not being afraid for that to be a different decision than the one the night before or the one 10 seconds before. And I think that's something that you can not only use in this piece and in this setting, but carry with you throughout all the rep in the company. Because I think it makes it more human and more real, which is really special.
Love that, thank you.
Can we pass over to Nadia? Can we pass her? Fantastic. I have to ask a little bit about challenges. I presume there are some in the rehearsal process for something like this. What have been the biggest challenges for you?
I would say probably it's just like the mindset difference to what we're used to, kind of similar to what these guys were saying, of we're so used to having this kind of tight structure to our own kind of internal dialogue when we're performing. And it's so unusual to be given the freedom to be able to kind of almost have like a conversation in movement with each other. I feel like a lot of the time as dancers, we kind of spend hours and hours and weeks in the lead up to a performance, imagining how it's going to be and how it's going to look from the outside. And it's actually so little to do with what it's going to feel like and how we're going to react to each other. So that's been a challenge, but when it works, it feels so rewarding and really quite kind of electric between us. So yeah, it's a challenge, but also exciting.
Last but not least, Uriel, can you tell us what you're most looking forward to about bringing this to the main stage?
I think similar to what you all said, but having such a strong team, it's so nice breaking it down like this and doing sections, but I feel like this is such a group piece that we're all there in this moment, sharing this space on stage and kind of just letting go of like a standard of I have to do this and making live decisions and keeping it alive and playful. Like I feel like that's a word that's been used a lot, that this piece is like kind of a big game and we're all testing our body limits and how far you could travel, but also not doing it by yourself. Like we're so much doing this together. So it's nice to share some of the pressure.
So well supported, pushed but supported, exactly. And I think that's what we saw in that rehearsal. I'm going to let you relax now. So a huge thank you to all of you, a huge thank you to Wayne for that demonstration. And then we're going to move over actually to another bit with a bit of music we're going to be moving to in a second.
Thank you. Thank you so much for doing that. Thank you for doing that.
Okay, so Alchemies spotlights the spirit of collaboration that is so central to Wayne's creative process. Throughout his career, he has collaborated with leading creatives working in visual art, in music, fashion, design, and beyond. This new work that you've now seen a little bit of continues that conversation, bringing together a powerhouse creative team, including music by Bushra El Turk, costumes by Saul Nash, and lighting by long-term collaborator of Wayne, Lucy Carter. Of course, music and design play a central role, not just in the new work, but across the whole program. And we're going to take a bit of time now to explore the musical landscape of Alchemies. And I mean, you've heard a little bit. I mean, there's lots to talk about there. So I'm going to welcome back Wayne, and he's going to be joined in conversation by composer Bushra El Turk and music director of the Royal Ballet, Koen Kessels. Welcome all. It's lovely to have you here. Now, Wayne, I'm going to start with you. We've seen a bit in rehearsal now, but I do want to zoom out for a second to talk a little bit about the overall structure of Alchemies as the program. And how have you shaped the journey for the audience? And to what extent do these three works speak to each other?
Well, I think they speak to each other in many ways, and perhaps we'll get onto that in a little minute. But from a musical point of view, Untitled's a work by Anna Thorsvadottur, which is this incredible composition, which is very kind of like textural, is a way to describe it. It's almost like the music kind of appears and disappears through various kind of like weights. It's almost like she has events that kind of emerge and submerge, but it's absolutely huge. And as in, it feels like epic. It feels, it feels like geological, and it feels epic in terms of landscape. And it was really, I chose Anna because I was working with Carmen, and that's what Carmen's work does to me when I experience it. I feel like that when I look at a Carmen Herrera work. And so I felt that already had a kind of like a symbiosis, which they're not the same, but there's something about them that are equivalents that create a kind of a context for a movement vocabulary to come out of. The Bernstein is different because Kevin in 2018 asked 3 choreographers to create work to, the great Leonard Bernstein's music, and we each had to choose a piece. And one of the things that I really loved about the piece that I chose, it's a piece that I've loved for a very long time, Chichester Psalms, is that actually, those psalms are set in Hebrew. I don't understand Hebrew, but there's a kind of an elemental essence to that music that sits inside your body. It's extraordinarily spiritual, it's extraordinarily beautiful and evocative, but it hits a kind of like a memory center, which is very different from the Anna music, which is very different from Bushra's music. And actually I thought, well, that's a really interesting contrast if we place that in the middle. It has a kind of perhaps a more readily available emotional center, one might say. Because it is so lush and it's so easy to kind of be transported by it. But it's also very rigorous in terms of its writing and in terms of how it allows you to articulate a particular kind of physicality with music. And then there's Bushra, one of the things, well, there are many things that fascinated me about Bushra's music. But one of them is the process by which the score evolves. But the actual sound world is really incredible in Bushra's music. It really feels that Ella was articulating this idea of liveness, and one of the things that we really wanted to try and create in this piece was this sense of liveness of the moment, like present, no past and no future, just literally of the moment. And how do you do that? And that spontaneity of writing, even in the set pieces that Bushra has written, it feels like it's unfolding just in the moment. It feels, improvised, even though it's not. And additionally to that, I'm going to talk about that in the structure a bit later on, the way in which is articulated in the score various states of freedom or various states of possibility for Bebe to play in was really interesting, and what that dialogue and relationship was with the orchestra. And so it felt to me that although very disconnected in many ways in terms of the richness of the things that they're offering, there's something really exciting, kind of a golden thread between them where they would work in dialogue. Thank you.
Koen, if I can pick up with you a little bit on what this means for the orchestra. Your job is to prepare the orchestra and bring it to life. And a mixed program has a very particular aspect about it in that you have 3 very different works over the course of an evening. So I was wondering about what is the most exciting part, really, of preparing for this, or challenges too?
What is always fantastic, and I have to compliment you again, Wayne, for that, as the dancers do, but it's always very inviting and challenging what you propose. So it is like you have to go and look where normally you don't go and look in many ways. And with these 3 different programs, it's absolutely completely different. And in fact, the three movements, they don't have anything to do, but perhaps they have everything to do, because it goes about humanity. When you see in Suggestive Psalms how Bernstein tries to link, in a way, especially now, I have to say, than Hebrew with the Catholic ritual chorus singing this for the first time. Imagine what it means in 65, where he had a time where he wanted to cool down and compose, and then he has this offer for combining people and bringing people together. The same with the two pieces of Anna Torvaldsdottir, with Metacosmos and Catamorphosis. It's two pieces, and it's normally concerts being played, concert music. I think the opening night was with the Bill and Phil, and so it's very high-profile classical music also, and there again, it's this humanity, as you said. I can't say this much better than you did, but they have these melodies lines, and it's some people in the orchestra also said it's like going back to the 12th to the 10th century. It's ritual. It's Anna uses this particular wonderful metaphor movement. It's like you stand there with a flower and you go over a line, and that's the melody you play. And what you played before, what you play after, it's like you don't know exactly what it is, but you go with that melody line and you bring that to the next player. But when you play it alone in your score, you don't really realize what you're doing. So even in the rehearsal, I made them just play the long notes, and suddenly you feel that from wherever it comes, in the full orchestra, it's one melody that is being formed, and all the rest is, I wouldn't say it's disturbing, but it's like insects, it's all life inside, and then you have this incredible cosmos being created. So again, unifying people. And then with Bushra, we met on occasion before, I think even 13 years ago in Birmingham. We go way back. It's also a complete different world, but also very human world. So it's unifying. And of course, with this magnificent orchestra who is so incredibly versatile. And I would say you can go very far in every way of expression. And if it's now Bernstein, it's very, in a way, classical written, or very experimental way with a lot of contemporary music techniques, but finding yourself in the 12th century suddenly, and then with Bushra in a completely different field where suddenly as a conductor you just give signs like that, and they have to react to that. And you have to animate an orchestra suddenly, and they also, like the dance, they get a freedom in that score that normally they don't give. So the first sentence when we had everybody plays a and all on different places, and you have to explain, no, you don't have to play this together. No, you don't have to be like the dancers expressed in a way. It is a complete freedom that suddenly, and when you explain this to the musicians, immediately they are gone and they work with what they've been given. But in this space of these three complete different pieces, that in fact it goes very much into unifying. So thank you, Wayne, for giving us this program.
That's very beautifully put. We're going to be talking much more about Bushra's piece, but I want to start with you, Wayne, actually, because it is set to a revised version of an existing piece by you, Bushra, your 2022 Carr Concerto for Percussion and String Orchestra. So I was wondering how you landed on this music, how this came under your sort of in your purview.
Well, I'm always on the search. So I think, I'm always looking to find new inspiration in lots of different ways. And I actually found a recording online. And one of the amazing things about this piece is the physicality of the work itself. So it's a really visceral piece of writing where you actually get to see the player, in this case, Bebe and Tony and the orchestra, but you get to see them physicalize the music in a really kind of choreographic way. And I really love that. And you'll see, we're going to see Bebe play later. She is literally physically thinking with her body, but through the tools of these instruments. And she's nuancing sound in relationship to these instruments. And it's a really physical performance. But I was really struck as well by not only kind of the rhythmic intonation, but also the strange. I couldn't place where the kind of the rhythmic possibilities were coming. They were so unexpected. The kind of the line of the musical thought, and Bushra's going to, I'm sure, explain where that comes from. But it felt like it was a really massive field of potentials that were starting to coalesce in really interesting constellations. And I really loved that because I immediately saw what the scenography should be on stage. I immediately had a kind of a very palpable, strong idea about a completely huge yellow floor, a massive void at the back, and this kind of like integration of light. It was super, super clear. But also I felt it inside. I felt it as a kind of a kinesthetic empathy in my own body, a kind of a compulsion to move. And certainly when we've been in the studio with the dancers and with the music, you can really see that in them. You know, they can't wait to like fire up and have this kind of like dialogue in the live moment with live playing. It's a very different way of dancing. It's a very different way of experiencing choreography. And that kind of freedom and autonomy is really exciting.
Absolutely. So it's kinetic motor. I think we'll get into some of the
Yeah.
rhythmic bit in a minute. Bushra, what was it like when Wayne first approached you? I was wondering what your first thoughts or reactions were when this opportunity presented itself.
Well, I was, I mean, his name was in my, you know, you've been around in my, I've known about you. I've known about you for a while, Wayne. But then I mean, when you approached me, I did go on a very big like rabbit hole into your process. And I found so many parallels. I was like, oh my God, I do the same musically. I got so excited about the process. And I was like, oh, I can't wait to like build something like Lego or, you know, together one day. And yeah, I mean, you're a whole kind of empire in yourself, aren't you, Wayne?
What does that mean?
You do. There's so much you offer. Like
Thank
this, you know. I mean, yes. I mean, everyone knows what I mean, but.
I mean, what was the process? Can you give a little insight? Because you've expanded
Yes.
this existing work. It's about 8 minutes longer, I think, for the ballet, and there's a few different instrumentation things and things. So what was that process, I guess? Can you let us in a bit about how it ended up in this revised form?
Well, I wanted to adapt it for the stage, for the artists I was, you know, I would be working with. So I wanted Wayne to also bring in his own ideas of, you know, everything he wanted to bring into it. I wanted to work with Bebe Wang, the wonderful percussionist who you'll see later, and bring her personality into it. And so there are a lot of kind of decisions with instruments and bringing her own Chinese traditional kind of background and her relationship with gesture and movement herself. You know, it's a piece that kind of has a spectrum, I should say, between notation to improvisation. So I'll be explaining that later as well. Yes, it was a beast before, but it's going to be a very, very different beast with Wayne. And Kuhn, obviously, as well, bringing his own creative input into it as well, right? So we'll talk about that later as well. So
Fantastic, yeah. I mean, Kuhn, if I can go to you just as, the challenges then, I mean, we've got a hint of the fact there is this improvisatory element, so there is openness within the actual performance itself. Does that change your role as a conductor? And what does that mean for you, leading this and working with dancers in this format? I mean, what's that like for you?
How to say a big difference? I'm used to quite a lot of contemporary music, and the way that Bushra notates, in fact, it's very, very clear and very, very well constructed. So it's like, there are some basics, it's like 2-3 rules, and if you follow them, then it's more or less, again, being there at the moment itself. I said to Wayne, do you really trust my visual memory?
I did think for a moment. I was like,
no, because in my score, I have a lot of indications for classical ballet, so knowing exactly what happens. But there's this kind of improvisations that I have like cues now. Melissa passes the vibraphone, then I have to turn, and then I'm there. So there are 8 or 9 cues, and I'm not really used to react as quickly because I have to anticipate certain things than for 20 seconds or 30 seconds before. And this is the challenging thing in a very, very clear way of notation, because that's for sure. We can go into that later, but it's not a complicated score at all in a way for the grammatical thing, but to make it happen at the moment and then to extend and to wait and to know exactly where the changes have to happen is very challenging in a way also. And for the orchestra they just wait until I give a sign, and this is then from 1 to 5, and again I start from at 1. So it is very simple, and then we know we are in the next cadenza, and then that's measured, and but it's to create at the moment, to see what they need, and then to decide. That's the next step. That makes it different in a way of what I'm used to do.
So has that meant a close collaboration between you two that might be different than?
Yeah, I mean, between all of us. I mean, I think it's music making in the moment with all of us there together. But I mean, I think it sounds as though it's all like very free and easy. And actually, Bushra's got a very strong system by which we have to work in this ecosystem to make that work. And actually, it's really interesting how quickly things can go wrong and how things can very quickly deteriorate and become kind of like insubstantial in a way. And so actually the rigor of the writing or the rigor of the technique of improvising is as detailed and as important to practice as things that are kind of rote in some way. Actually more so because the variables are greater. Therefore, you have to kind of almost like exorcise all of the variables to know what kind of direction you're kind of like moving in. And so it is a really interesting interplay between live playing, live performance, live dancing, obviously Koen, and we all have to be working within this system to make the whole work kind of like emerge to its kind of like richest. And that's been really exciting. And, we have our stage calls tomorrow and our orchestra calls later in the week. And I think as we move on, we'll learn more and more about how that kind of like piece works together. But that was a challenge. That's why I wanted to do it. I wanted to do it because it was risky. I wanted to do it because it wasn't, something that was like musically that we knew exactly what it was going to be. I wanted to do it to offer a kind of a risk and a new way of thinking about moving to the dancers. And I wanted, Bebe and Tony to be on stage so that actually the potential for that live interactivity was really, really like close. It was really embedded actually in the visual language of the overall work.
Thank you. Bushra, ahead of hearing some of it, I wondered if you could just tell us what this experience has been like and working with, dancers, performers and this state of responsiveness to lots of elements. What has the process been like for you, and has it been different than actually in other works you've been involved in?
It's been breathtaking, so to describe it. When your music is, when a dance is accompanied by your music, it's like obviously it's an uplifting experience, but it really takes the music to another level you'd never imagined. But also makes you kind of rethink how you want this music to evolve with the dance as that evolves as well, and what, because structurally it could work for the dance, but will it work structurally for music? And all these kind of questions will come up when, they did, didn't they? With all their experience, I'm used to I write a lot with choreographers. I compose a lot for dance, but mostly I do opera. So it's a whole other kind of level of collaboration, I suppose. But yes, it just makes you want to do more of this. Everything is so live in the moment. You have to think quickly, like Wayne thinks very quickly in the moment. I'm like, oh my God, I have to keep up with you. But it's good, it's great. It's it's just, fire.
And a different experience from opera.
Yes.
That's really interesting of you and your practice as well.
Can I just ask Bushra a question? Well, something I wanted to ask you actually was that, the work is so physical, the music is so physical. When you're writing, how do you sense that? Do you sense that in your body, or is it in your head? How do you do that? What is that process like for you?
It definitely stems from somewhere that I can't locate. But I never think of music being separated from movement or from any other art form, really. Everything is just bleeds into the other and influences the other, and I aim for, that's my kind of artistic aim, that I will create that work that you will never know where the lines are bleeding. So
I love that.
I think you're great for that to happen. So yeah.
I think this is a good time to hear some of your music, and so I think we're going to pass over now. I'm going to hand over to Bushra and Koen for the next bit, and we're also going to be joined by percussionist Bebe Wang and double bassist Tony Huffman. So I'd like to say a huge thank you to Wayne for joining us as we move to our next bit.
So originally I was, when I was asked to write this work, for the concert hall, it was for a particular percussionist, and I was supposed to, well, I'm not supposed to, we kind of thought of how we might, what the inspiration of the work should be. And originally the world premiere kind of coincided with commemorating the first year of my late father's passing. And I was very curious as to where my father's soul was. So I was looking into all sorts of theories and philosophies, and looking into mythology, and kind of going on some adventure in that sense. And I came across in Egyptian mythology, and that kind of really kind of resonated with me in how what happens after death, really. It was interesting for me. Whether it's true or not, it's something else, right? But it was very interesting. And so in ancient Egyptian mythology, they believed that the soul was divided into 9 parts, and of which one of them was called the ka. And the ka began from birth, and it would accompany a person until death and beyond. And that's how I imagine this piece to be, with the ka kind of expressed in the kind of conversations that Bebe would have with all the soloists of the orchestra, with the orchestra as a whole, with Tony, the double bassist, and that this work also not interestingly, but I mean, for a concerto, what I tried to do was to kind of include 7 cadenzas. Now, traditionally, you don't have as many as 7 cadenzas in concerto writing, right? Probably 1 or 2, maybe. But I decided to have 7 cadenzas to really bring the personality of the soloist out into the fore. And with this particular adaptation, I was very, very curious as to, having worked with Bebe before, and very interested into how her own traditions and whole background and musical ideas would bring into this piece. I really wanted to, just really explore the instrumentation with you, didn't I? Back then, we've been having loads of conversations, loads of workshops together, going wild, being playful. I guess we came up with some ideas, like, for example, the 8 sounds that we spoke about coming from Chinese musical aesthetics. Would you like to speak a little bit about that, Bebe? Perhaps?
Cool. Thank you so much, Bourgeois. And I come from background. My musical journey moves in between Chinese traditional music and Western classical. So when Bourgeois asked me to play her piece, the first thing I do is invite her, come over to my home to have a meal together, to have that, to set the environment, to have a conversation, because Chinese people like to have food first. And then when Bourgeois sat down, I said, "Don't rush. Let's talk about the material, and it's still food. When you cook, you need to talk about the material for chef to work on, and then for a musician, all the instrument, all the different sound are our materials." And then I start to introduce the Chinese traditional 8-sound system, which is the traditional way to categorize instruments. So we think instruments are categorized in metal, wood, skin, stone, earth, bamboo, gourd, all these natural elements. And then this is from the philosophy, like holistic perspective. We think human nature are as one, never separated. We're part of the nature, we're part of the world. And then we start to decide the choice of instrument. So because I often work with composers, working with choreographers, artists from different disciplines. So experimentation is at the heart of my creative process. And then these instruments, I have all of them at home. Then also, I'm really interested in found objects. I love, obsessed with rubbish. So when I see things on street, I pick. So for example, this one is particularly crafted for bourgeois music. This time I picked on the street. If you live in London, you know what I'm talking about. So much rubbish. And then, and I had a friend then is very good at cutting things. We put it together and we, just design a shape because bourgeois are from the Arabic background. I'm thinking how to make the shape or the sounds, the scale, more Arabic. I don't know, because from the outside, you have to try things. And when we come to Royal Ballet for the first rehearsal, I brought this one. Bourgeois loves it. And then I'm very happy. Do you want to hear the sound?
Yeah.
So I watch a dancer move and then I react. That's very, very quantum because it draws inspiration from quantum mechanics. Sorry, I don't know much about quantum mechanics, but it's all based on when create this environment for all of us to be an observer. Because this is, I read something very simple ideas about when you observe things, that observing changes the outcome itself. So at the moment when I decide to play and when I watch a dancer, there are so many possibilities I can do. I can do this. I can do this. I can do this. I can do this. It's all one of the choice and the possibilities. So our performance, no two performances will be ever the same. So we have 6 performances. Please come to see all of them. Would you like to introduce some part of the music?
Yes, let's look at the melodic material. So as I was saying, this piece kind of follows a spectrum between the notated and the improvised. So 1 being specifically notated. 2, decorate the notated material. 3, improvise based on the material in this box. 4, improvise based on the spirit of the material in this box. And 5 being completely improvised, as if we can give you complete freedom. I'm not sure about that. We have the last say as the composer normally, but we do sculpt it like a choreographer would on given material or on harmonic progressions, etc. So let's have a look at which bars were we looking at? Well, let's look at cadenza 7 and the main material from there as written.
Great. So this is a bourgeois.
Great. Now, can you decorate that? So number 2.
It's a decorate bourgeois.
Now, can you make the material tighter, closer to the original rhythm, and just decorate mainly with some grace notes, and keep it rhythmically tighter as it should. And then before we go into to 3.
Okay, well-decorated bourgeois.
Oh, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Shall we go on to 3? So improvise based on the written material.
So a little 10% of baby.
Wonderful. How about the spirit of the material? So number 4.
That's 50% of baby and 50% bourgeois.
Lovely, thank you so much. How about 5, but create a new instrument, involve the temple blocks and the wood blocks with it as well.
How much of you would you like to have?
Shall we say 30-70?
Okay.
Is that a good, should we come from, yeah? Is that a good amount? Wow, thank you. Shall we have a look at the rhythmic material? Can you play us the main original rhythm that goes through? What bar was that?
So we have to introduce this.
Bar 65 to 66, yeah.
Yeah, the Baki.
The Rebecca, let's use the Rebecca.
This is very,
Arabic.
very, very bourgeois.
Thank you so much, baby. And how about we play the opening where you share your rhythm with Tony and Koen to conduct that moment as well. So basically they're having a kind of a conversation with each other, but they're more like filling in each other's gaps and sentences. Like there's a lot of hocketing going on. Thank you so much. It's quite a challenge because you're basically you have to play as if you're one instrument, right? So how was that for you, Tony, because it's quite...
I have to be very aware of what Bebe is doing, as well as watching Koen as well, because we have to really line up. So I'm, as you said, I'm filling the gaps, but also it's an unusual way to play the double bass. And that was a challenge for me to work out the different kind of sounds that you wanted. And I can make high, low, all different kind of sounds depending on which part of the instrument I play. And so that's one of the choices that I have in the performance of how I'm going to play that, how it feels at that very moment.
Yeah, great. Thank you so much, Tony. And, well, during our wild sessions at your place, you introduced me to the one and only, slightly broken,
So, yeah.
dehumidifier, right? Dehumidifier tubes, right?
Yeah, as you know, I like to collect rubbish. So, and me and Bourgeois discovered this dehumidifier pipe at my home. If you're living in Britain, you have to have this. Otherwise, you get mold. And then this one happened to be a little bit broken. So it creates this really beautiful overture.
Huge thank you, Bushra, Bebe, Koen, and Tony. I'm really, we've got to see it in performance, and very much looking forward to it after that little insight there. Now, while our evening is coming to a close, Wayne McGregor Alchemies opens here at the Royal Opera House on the 18th of April. You can find tickets on our website for as many performances you would like to come to. A huge thank you to Wayne, to all of our dancers, as well as to Koen, Bushra, and our musicians. Thank you to all of you here in the Claw studio, as well as everybody watching online. We hope you've enjoyed this insight. Good night.